What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, as you can see, we will be talking about air source and the different options that you have when you buy your first air gun or if you want to diversify your air source. So air sources can be probably one of the biggest obstacles when it comes to getting into air guns and the pre-charged pneumatic rifles, stuff like that. It's kind of daunting to new air gunners just because it's a very different concept to what they're used to with when it comes to like rim fires and center fires and stuff. You just have to bring ammo, but with air guns, you need an air source. And we have a couple different options here that we're going to be going over in depth based on cost and pros and cons based on each one. We have obviously a hand pump, a scuba tank, and an air compressor. And the hand pump and the air compressor I chose based on cost and kind of versatility and quality. So these are two of the best options that I think we offer right now for the money. We'll start based on cheapest, and that is the hand pump. So let's start talking about those and their benefits and limitations. The hand pumps are awesome because you're really only limited by your physical strength and endurance. They have very little moving parts and they're very reliable, but you can be limited on, like if you're running an impact, like my personal impact with a 700 cc bottle, I probably wouldn't want to pump up with a hand pump because that's a lot of air to pump manually. Hand pumps aren't really, you don't really pump faster with speed. Like if you can pump it super fast, the best efficiency you get out of a hand pump is just consistent compressions and just staying at that certain rhythm, because some hand pumps will warm up because you are compressing. They do go up to this specific pump, should have mentioned earlier, is the Air Venturi MK5, the hill pump. It's a very good pump. It goes up to 4,500 PSI, but it will warm up and it can take a significant amount of time. We normally recommend hand pumps for smaller tube guns because you can fill them up relatively quick based on their small volume of air. But you can, if you want to, get a really good workout in. You could fill up bottle guns like the Wildcat I was shooting in a previous video. That wouldn't be too bad, but it would still take some significant exertion. And I would demonstrate that, but I've been going to jiu-jitsu and I feel like I've gotten a good workout in recently. So these would be great for like a JTS Aracuda. Why can't I remember any names of guns right now? I just sold some the other day, like a Hatsan Jet, just small tube guns that don't have a ton of volume. You'll be able to fill those up fast, efficiently, and you're not gonna get super winded filling those up. But if you want a challenge, you need a good cardio workout, fill up your big bottle gun. It'll take a while, but you'll have great cardio, or you'll get a good workout in. So that is the pump. They come with just your normal hose. You can buy our extended hoses, like a 3-foot or a 6-foot hose. That'll make it a little bit easier if you don't have to put your gun on the ground. You can put your gun on your tailgate or whatever you're filling it on, and the hose will reach up to there. They have a little gauge right here to tell you the pressure, and obviously you have your gauges on your guns to tell you the pressure as well. You've got your hose purge valve right here to release it once you're done filling. But yeah, that is hand pumps and kind of the pros and cons of that. So let's move on to the second most expensive, scuba tanks. So we offer a variety of scuba tanks. This is our Air Marksman 9-liter. We also offer a 6.8 liter and a smaller, I think it's a 3-liter tank, and they're obviously different prices, but the 9-liter is around $700. They fill to 4,500 PSI, and these are probably my preferred air source. They do look a little bit cumbersome. You do need to keep them in a case because one thing about air tanks is you need to keep them constantly inspected. You don't want to have any chips or cracks. You need to be aware of its manufacture date and when it was last hydro tested, and that hydro testing will expire eventually, so you need to have that visible on the tank. So if you bring it into us, we will inspect the tank, make sure there's no major damage to it, and we will make note of when it was last hydroed, because if it's expired, you either need to go get it hydroed or buy a new tank, because we do not want to risk our employees or you by filling up a faulty tank, because 4,500 PSI is not something that you want to take lightly. But that said, these tanks are very strong. You most likely won't have any issues with it. But we do recommend carrying them in a padded case to make it just a little bit easier on you if you want to keep them in your truck or in the cab of your vehicle. We have our Air Marksman cases. There are the little bit nicer Armageddon gear case that also has a bunch of pockets that you can put your hoses and ammo and stuff in. But yeah, scuba tanks are awesome because they fill very fast. Unlike the hand pump, it can take anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes depending on the volume of air you're trying to push into your gun. Most scuba tanks will fill, like with my current setup, my impact with a 700cc bottle, it will fill in a couple seconds. And with this size, a 9-liter tank, I can probably get 7 or 8 good fills out of it before I need to bring this in and get it refilled. And that is one of the limitations of having a scuba tank, is you probably don't have a compressor that is capable of filling your tank at home. So if you're local to us or another airgun shop, or some dive shops will even fill these for you for a small fee. We charge $10. That's probably pretty average for airgun shops and scuba shops. But they'll do the same thing as we do. They'll inspect your tank, make sure it's all safe, and then fill it from there, and you're good to go. Yeah, you are limited on your air. Unlike, that's one of the benefits of running a hand pump, is you're really only limited by how much you want to exert yourself. But when you run out of these, you have to go back. So if you want to go camping, or if you're going to a more remote area for a match or hunting or whatever, you might want to, if you can, bring multiple tanks. And that's usually what we do, is obviously working at Utah Airguns, I have access and we have access to a lot of tanks and our compressor. So we usually just take multiple tanks because it's just the easiest. It's the fastest, most efficient way to fill our air guns. We each bring our own tank, and for a day of hunting, even shooting prairie dogs, we usually only consume 1 tank each, and that's shooting a lot. So you can get a lot of shooting out of a tank, especially if you're shooting pellets. You can, like out of an impact, shooting a 22 pellet, you can basically get 1,000 shots out of a scuba tank, a 9-liter tank, based on how many times you can fill your impact. But yeah, scuba tanks are awesome. You're really only limited by how often and how close you are to a compressor that has the capability to fill these. Other than that, that's really the only major downside to a scuba tank. I mean, other than having to lug one of these around, which they're not bad. They probably weigh 10 to 15 pounds depending on what size you get. They fill very fast. They are very safe. Yeah, so that is scuba tanks. And if I'm missing any benefits, guys, obviously drop them in the comments, or cons to running any of these air sources. So the price point on these tanks, we sell the Air Marksman one, the 9-liter, for about $700, and they go down from there. I think our smallest Air Marksman tank that we just came out with, I think it's a 3-liter. I think those are around $300, $350, and the 6.8-liter is around like $650. And there's obviously other tanks. There's the Scandinavian Air tanks and other ones. I'm not sure on the exact price on those, but they're going to be about the same as this, about the same volume. So let's move on to air compressors now. And this one I picked because we sell the most of it. This is the Air Venturi Nomad. They are very capable and very convenient. This particular model, you've got your pressure gauge up here. It has auto shut off, so once it gets to your desired pressure, it will just turn off. You're not going to overfill or burn out the compressor. You can hook any length of hose to it. You can add an inline filter to the hose, which we recommend. It will just increase the longevity of your rifle, keeping nice clean air in there. And the cool thing about these and most of the smaller electric air compressors is that your power source is either, where's that, right here. You can either plug it into the wall, just easy 110, or it also comes with some cables to where you can snap it onto your car battery while it's running. Of course, you don't want to drain your car battery. But these will fill like your normal 580 bottle in about 7 to 8 minutes. which is pretty average. And then obviously it'll probably take, like for a 700cc bottle, probably 10 minutes, and then smaller guns a lot faster. But these are just super convenient. They're not too heavy. That's probably 20 pounds. And this specific unit is around $800, but they are very convenient. The Air Nomad, we've got a lot of really good reviews on, very reliable. We do sell a ton of these, so we know that this is a very solid model. But we offer a lot of other options as far as air compressors go. We also sell like the big Alkins, which are significantly more expensive. They can fill your big scuba tanks. They take a little bit, but obviously if you're that serious, go for it. Get one of the Alkins. Alkin makes a fantastic product. They're very efficient. They are very reliable, and that's usually what we take when we go like to Prairie Dog Palooza or to matches. We bring one of either the electric Alkins or the gas powered Alkins, and we just basically keep them running. They're always filling tanks. We're always filling other people's tanks. But this one, I think, is a great option if you're going to go out camping. You can plug it into your vehicle. You don't have to lug around a big scuba tank. This one you'll plug directly into your gun and just go from there. They're pretty easy to run. The Alkins, depending on the model, I think they are anywhere from like $2,500 to $5,000. So they're significantly more expensive than one of the little electric ones. But if you're that serious into air gunning and you can afford that, definitely go for it. They're fantastic, and you could also fill your big scuba tanks with those, which makes it even like that much more convenient. That's usually what I recommend for people that are like on farms, more remote areas, that they want to be able to have a high volume of air, but they don't really have the luxury of being close to like a nice airgun shop or a dive shop. So those guys can usually afford a tank. It's considered some kind of a little bit of an investment for their facility if they're doing major pest control. With the Air Nomad or Air Venturi Nomad compressor, this one runs about $800. There are some that are around the $350 to $400 mark, and there's some that are a little bit more expensive than this, and they're all relatively about this size. And they have different fill rates. Some of them you do have to be aware of how hot they are getting, because some of them just aren't made to push that much air. But you really just have to kind of do a little assessment of how much you guys are going to be shooting, where you're going to be shooting, and how much air you're going to be consuming. And then you can kind of pick which of these air sources that you want to go with. You can always upgrade down the road based on how much you get into air gunning. But I usually tend to recommend the scuba tank. That is the simplest option for most people. It's kind of middle of the road as far as cost goes when it comes to a hand pump or a compressor. Obviously this compressor is slightly more expensive than a scuba tank, our big 9-liter tank, but it's really simple. They're really reliable. You really don't have to worry about much. You don't have to worry about a tank overheating, although I wouldn't keep them in a warm truck in the summer. But you wouldn't keep your gun in the warm truck in the summer anyway, so that's pretty easy. But yeah, if you're going to be gone for a long time, get a hand pump or a electric pump that you can plug into your car or your cabin if you're going to be out in the woods. But yeah, if I missed anything, guys, drop them in the comments. I'm still a little new to air gunning, but I'm learning very fast. But so that's kind of the gist of these 3 air sources. So let us know what you guys think. If there's any other videos you want us to do on support gear or rifles or stuff like that, just drop your questions down in the comments section, and we'll see you next time.